This is a weird one. Written across the crank arms is Simplex in a very small writing. The BCD on the chain rings is 86, which corresponds to Stronglight. And in fact, if you look at the back of these crank arms, you'll see stamped made in France. And that's exactly the same stamp that I've seen on similar Stronglight cranksets. So I do think that this is made by Stronglight. It's pretty poor quality. The finish is not very well done. If you run your finger along here, there's uneven bumps. I think it's been stamped somehow, as on the other side of the crankset on the drive side, you'll see that there are lines right here. Normally you'd want to polish that off, but it's been left. The crankset is pretty heavy. As you can tell from the sound, it's the chain rings that are just solid steel, which give them plenty of weight. Simplex towards the 80s, early 90s was going into administration and / liquidation. After some research, it does appear that Mavic owned part of the production, and on a French government website it lists Mavic as a administrator up until 1999 for Simplex, although Simplex, according to other sources, went into administration in 1992 and in fact was taken over by Stratec, another French company that appears to have been some kind of cooperative of many French bike parts manufacturers that got together and continued the production of Simplex derailleurs under another name. So it does indeed appear that Mavic was owning Simplex or part of its production, and that would explain why in years 1989 to 1992 roughly, some parts are exactly the same, such as the shifters, as the Simplex MTB group. So all in all, it's an interesting little story on this bike company that went from world-renowned derailleurs to a miserable group set and miserable parts towards the end of its life. It did continue to produce throughout until the year 2000s, making car locks under the name Valio, who took over that part of its production. So at one point during the late 80s, Simplex was simply devised into many sub-companies. So I'm going to do some more research on this subject. I thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed. Peace out.